Today we're talking the most disliked LEGO Star Wars set ever and how exactly to quantify that, my marital status for some reason, the LEGO Black Panther bust, and more. This is Ask MandRproductions episode 235, the series where I answer your questions. So if you have a question you want answered on next week's episode, drop it down in the comments section below and leave a like while you're at it. This episode is also sponsored by Whatnot. We'll talk more about them later. Our first question comes from Fritz, says, do you think LEGO will ever make larger LEGO Star Wars busts in the style of the Darth Maul bust? Again, Marvel seems to be getting larger busts like with the Black Panther bust. So this is a line of thinking that is always going to pop up anytime something new in a different category pops up for any other theme that isn't Star Wars on my channel. And the answer to it is maybe, but in this case, I think probably not. There's one character that I think has a decent chance of maybe being made, but as far as I'm aware, this Black Panther bust was just made as a one-off thing that started out a couple years ago in development. It doesn't seem like a whole direction by the LEGO company like they have done with the character helmets to make different character helmets for all sorts of different themes. Like we have Batman, Iron Man, Darth Vader, Stormtrooper type of character helmets. You know, I don't think it's going to be the same thing here with the bust. That being said, the Darth Maul, I don't think sold very well. However, I don't think it's a fair comparison to make nowadays to look 20 years back. LEGO Star Wars is so different now today than it was 20 years ago. So comparing something that didn't sell well 20 years ago to what it could do today, I don't think is fair. I don't think Darth Maul would be the right choice to do today though either. I think if they did one today, it would have to be and would very likely be Darth Vader. That it's just the most iconic Star Wars thing I think you could make, and it would have the best chance of success, and then they could go from there if they wanted to make more. But ultimately, I don't think we're gonna get anything of the sorts, and I think a good example of this is with the Harry Potter big brick-built minifigures that were 120 bucks for the pair. I was almost positive that the following year we'd end up getting like a brick-built Farm Boy Luke and a brick-built Princess Leia, and that just didn't end up happening. That's not to say this will be the same case, but that's what I think it will be. Ian says, do you think buying expensive display cases for LEGO is worth it? I have 11 sets that I consider to be large, and given how expensive cases can be, I'm not sure if that money is better off spent on more large sets. And I think this is 100% gonna come down to the way you want to do your collection. To this point in my life, my collection, or at least maybe till a couple years ago when I started buying boxes to put things in so they wouldn't get dusty until I could get cases or big glass shelving units for it, my collection was buy it, build it, put it on the shelf, it's gonna get dusty, whatever. That whole mindset has changed for me, and I think you're kind of wanting to go down a similar path, but spend maybe a little bit more money on individual cases for individual sets. It can be very expensive. You could be spending $100 on a display case for a $200 UCS A-Wing, and that's just what they cost. As far as I can tell, there is no way to get them cheaper. There's no one that sells them cheaper. They probably just can't be done for cheaper. I would recommend going out and getting something for these larger sets if that's where you want to be. If you want to keep your stuff really clean, because the reality is your stuff's going to get really dusty, and if you plan on keeping this collection for more than a couple years, the dust is going to layer up, and either you're going to have to be dusting constantly, which you can do, but the dust is still going to slowly deteriorate the quality of your stuff over time. And I think just if you can afford it, spending that extra, I don't know, $1,000 on some display cases for your 11 sets that you really highly value is probably worth it to you. Plus, it will just make your whole display and collection look nicer. Enigma Champ says, I recently bought the new LEGO Star Wars Advent Calendar. When opening it, I pulled out 2 clone commanders and then 2 battle droids instead of 1. Have you ever had a set that gave you an extra minifigure? I have not, but you specifically did say this was an Advent Calendar, and this sort of thing does seem to happen more with Advent Calendars than anything else, is that they get double bagged in different compartments a lot. I just see this get posted on like the LEGO subreddits a lot. It just seems to happen more than average, and I say a lot, it's probably like 1 in 1,000 sets. Congratulations, you got some extra LEGO. Enjoy having 2 clone pilots for your UCS gunship. Bonzilla Skeleton says, if LEGO were to offer you an interview with any LEGO Star Wars designer, who would it be and why? So I do not know who all the LEGO Star Wars designers are. I typically don't know them by name. Unfortunately, for quite the wrong reasons, I now know a few by name, but there are 2 that stick out in my mind as like the 2 that I would definitely probably want to do an interview with for 2 different reasons. The first one is Jens. I respect the guy. He's been with LEGO Star Wars since 1999. He seems to know his stuff. He probably just knows a lot of cool random things that I would be interested in finding out about. I mean, you name it, I'd probably like small boxes, random minifigure selections that have come and gone from sets. For example, in one of the 2010 retailer catalogs, it's got like a preliminary image of the ARC 170 Starfighter, and then in the foreground we have a jetpack trooper, but this is no ordinary jetpack trooper. This is a 327th jetpack trooper that didn't end up coming in any of the sets from that year, so I would want to know if like he was supposed to be with the ARC 170, or was he supposed to go with the droid tri-fighter to go against some of those rocket battle droids. That would make the most sense to me. Like, I would just want to know random things like that. And then there's also a ton of sets over the years that we found out about that have been delayed or canceled. I would want to know about that stuff. And that's what, in 2020, when the LEGO Ambassador Network told me I was going to get to do an interview with Jens, I was very excited to be able to ask about those sorts of things. But the LEGO Ambassador Network, being as terrible as it is, never actually made it happen. You wonder why I think their program sucks? That is one of many reasons why. And then more recently, I have come to find out about another designer by the name of Hans Burkhead Schlomer. He's the guy that designed the UCS gunship. He's the guy that said the UCS gunship is from the original trilogy, and half the people passed it off as, oh, English isn't his native language. Well, very recently, people stumbled across his Eurobricks history. And this is from like 2012 to 2015 of him posting on Eurobricks, and you can like just read it. It's clearly like very fluent English. Like he's very, long paragraphs, lots of sentences, talking in detail about Lego Chima stuff that he worked on and Lego Star Wars stuff that he worked on. So I would just have endless questions about the decisions behind the UCS gunship and the mistakes that were made. And then also relating to our Clone Commander in the Advent calendar, turns out he is the guy that designed the Advent calendar this year, and he purposefully put in the Clone Commander, of course, to troll us. So it's equal parts funny and equal parts frustrating because we could have had more different clone troopers or an easier way to get a more expensive clone trooper. The irony is he's the designer who said it's not fair to put an expensive, very desired minifigure behind a high price point, and we have that this year in Commander Cody at $140, or maybe Cad Bane at $170, and him as the Advent calendar designer had the chance to bring in one of those expensive, maybe even Omega, an expensive, very highly sought after minifigure in one of those more expensive Summerwave sets, and put it in the $45 Advent calendar, and instead he chose to put the Clone Commander because F you, that's why. Literally. Like, that's the only reason I can discern. Now, on the bright side of his Advent calendar designs, he's done 4 of them. He has included a Gonk droid in all of them. Like, it's not all bad, I just don't understand what the mentality is here. You did all of this virtue signaling a year and a half ago in your interviews with the blogs, and now he's gonna get scrutiny because he didn't follow through with his virtue signaling. It blows my mind, right? Like, what are we doing? Or what are you doing? I think this shows a clear hypocrisy within that designer. I don't think it's fair to put sought-after minifigs in expensive sets because not all people can afford it, and then given the chance and the ability to put any minifigure in an Advent calendar, a very affordable set at $45 compared to the $140 of an ATT or $170 of a Cad Bane's Justifier, and he doesn't follow through with the virtue signaling, instead carrying over a minifig that's also in a $15 set to this now $45 Advent calendar. So yeah, I think just massive hypocrisy there, and it happens. Some people are going to say things and then you do something else later. It just happens, but it's still hypocrisy, and it sucks, and it's dumb, and it's stupid. Also, as it pertains to opportunities to make good on the virtue signaling, we had the exclusive to the $850 UCS AT-AT Snowtrooper Commander that could have easily replaced the standard Snowtrooper included in this set. They could have just switched it out. It's that simple, and he didn't. The one I would actually want to interview is Jens, because I think it would be way more fun, and I would actually get to learn things and not just be frustrated at bad decisions. Commander Cody wants to know how I afford all my Legos. YouTube my only job? Yes! And how do we make money on YouTube? With sponsors. Today's episode is sponsored by Whatnot. If for some reason you haven't heard about Whatnot yet, it's a live auction online marketplace that to me is the most fun way to buy and sell anything, but of course specifically for a lot of you guys and myself, Lego. It is an absolute blast to walk into an auction. You never know what you're gonna find in there. You could find clone troopers, Jedi, rare poly bags, rare sets. Now of course Lego isn't the only thing on there. Funko Pops, Pokemon cards, and sports cards are other very big categories on Whatnot. If you're interested in becoming a seller on Whatnot so you can potentially make more money to buy more Lego, you can sign up and they'll run you through their setup process. I really think it's the most fun way I've ever sold any Lego minifigs or sets. So if you haven't already and you want to give Whatnot a try, check out the link in the description below to get $10 off your first purchase on Whatnot. Make sure you follow me on there. I'm over 10,000 followers and I do giveaways all the time when I do my live streams, so there's lots of free stuff going around too on there. Chowman says, do you think Lego will use artificial intelligence to create Lego sets in the future? Imagine a computer program using a Bricklink Studio to generate a UCS set in a few seconds. I don't know about this. I think that would be incredibly difficult to achieve from like an engineering or computer science perspective. I know very little about it, but it sounds difficult, especially given the complexity of any individual Lego model. And how many, you think of the classic, you know, if you have 6 2x4 bricks, how many different combinations you can have out of that is something in the millions of combinations, right? So with all the different Lego pieces in the catalog, it's like an infinite number of, literally infinite number of combinations as far as different things you could have built by the AI, and I just don't see how the computing power would work with that. It just sounds insane to me. I don't think it's possible. I think you will always have to have the human touch to it. Not even the AI that makes a picture of what you're asking about really comes up with a good picture of a Lego set. Like, I don't know how you're gonna go through the intricacy of making a 1,000 or 2,000 piece actual set when like these picture AIs can't even make a picture of it, you know? But to have a finalized product that's got reasonably easy building instructions and looks good and has good minifigs and all these things, like, you have to have people behind it. Alex has an interesting take here. He says, does not pushing minifigure legs into the torso help with future potential torso cracking? I would be inclined to believe so and say yes, and I think it is the case. However, I also think this is akin to getting a new pair of shoes from like Dick's Sporting Goods and then putting Walmart plastic bags over them so that they don't get dirty. Like, you know, you just have to take a risk sometimes. Sometimes things are going to happen that are out of your control, like a minifigure torso cracking. And I think if it does happen, you should contact Lego customer service and do everything in your power to get them to send you a new one or something as compensation. But I also don't think you should be going to these great lengths to avoid the potential for a minifigure torso crack on a minifig that you bought in a $50 set. You know, like, I feel like it's a little bit extreme. You're more than welcome to do it. It's your collection, of course, but I feel like it's extreme and you should just enjoy it and put it together so that it looks right, you know? The Lego Kid says, have you ever considered making stop motion videos? Because I think you could have some amazing animations. I can't help but find it funny every time someone frames it like this. Have I ever considered making stop motion? Have I ever considered it? I have been making Lego videos on YouTube since 2009. Not only have I considered it, I have done it. I think anyone that's ever owned Lego ever has considered the idea of doing a stop motion. But I also think that stop motion is something that takes a special type of person with the love and the care to do it and the time to do it and like the patience and the skill, man. It takes genuine skill to make a good stop motion. It was one of the things that I really enjoyed about the early days of Lego YouTube is just how heavily into stop motion a lot of us were. One of my first friends on YouTube, the Austin Man 101, he's changed his name a few times, but Austin here was one of my friends. We'd get on Skype every day and sometimes we'd be working on stop motions and talking about different projects we wanted to do. And he always had different types of tests and things on his channel. And to this day, he still is like on the fringe of like wanting to make more stop motions. And that's just where he is. That's his thing, right? Like, it didn't continue to be my thing the way I think it's continued to be the thing to him. He's still inspired by it and still really wants to do it, and I am just not, like, I cared about it maybe for a year and a half in 2009, 2010, and then I just stopped caring about doing anything with stop motion. It took too much work and it wasn't for me, and it never will be. I will never make a stop motion. This is something that would very likely take just years of me practicing to get to a level that I think is reasonably okay, and then at that, I don't think it's profitable. I don't think I would make very much money doing it, you know? Like, you spend all of this time to make one, you know, 5-minute stop motion, and then the video gets, I don't know, 100,000 views and makes a couple $100, and it's like, but I just spent 3 months on that project, you know? Like that sort of thing. So that is not a direction my channel will ever be going. I will never do stop motion. It's, as much as I love it for what it used to be to me, it is not that anymore. Benjamin says, what are your thoughts about purposefully buying knockoff Lego minifigs? Would knockoffs taint my collection of legit Lego minifigs, or should I take advantage of cheaper option if they are available? And my answer on this has changed over the years. So prior to 2021, I made many videos, like burning knockoff Lego items, calling them trash, you know, these suck. I literally helped Lego shut down a fake Lego store in the Orlando Mall, alongside making a video with like 360,000 views saying that this store is illegal and what the heck is this? It's terrible. And so with all of that in mind, what happened at the beginning of 2021 is on a podcast with maybe 50 viewers. For the year prior to that point in time, I felt that Lego had left me out of a lot of things that I had more than earned the ability to be a part of with my contributions to their bottom line. They had lied to me time and time again, and just overall, I felt treated me poorly. And so very frustratedly, I said, man, I'm about to just start recommending fake Lego sets. I may as well, right? If Lego's not gonna, be treating me well, I may as well be recommending stuff from these other companies, like whatever. And so when I said that, the Lego Ambassador Network promptly kicked me out. Like literally that's why they're like, we can't have this, these are IP infringing, blah, 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 blah. I'm like, bruh, you clearly don't understand how frustrating this has been to me. You are dumb. And so that was that. And I still haven't made videos saying, oh, you guys should buy fake Lego and fake Lego is great. And I think I had my moment a couple months ago where I'm like, what am I doing? If I'm accused, I might as well be. That's one of my favorite lines from an Eminem song.
I'm not a cheater, but if I'ma be accused, might as well be.
And so with that in mind, I've made a conscious decision to start taking a look at some of the other options out there in the world of building bricks. And Lego has truly lost. Honestly, I was such a purist of the Lego brick, and it's tragic to me that it is where it is. But like, stuff like this is cool, man. Gonna be honest. It's fun, it's weird, and this was like $200. Cheap, right? So I think I may as well be making videos on stuff like this that's fun and unique and no one else is making videos about. I don't necessarily think you should be flocking out and purchasing stuff like this necessarily. Maybe, I don't know, you do what you want. I think it's a fun thing to take a look at on the channel. That being said, much like our answer earlier, it's your collection and you should do what you want. And if you think your knockoff minifigures that aren't made with genuine Lego ABS plastic are fine, then they are fine for all intents and purposes. No one else should be able to tell you otherwise, or at least you shouldn't let them tell you otherwise. Of course, other people are going to come along and tell you, oh, you have fake Lego minifigs in your collection, and that's dumb. And you're going to get that. But at the same time, it doesn't matter what they say. You just have to ignore the noise. So if your option is buying a minifig that's $100 versus the minifig that's $1 for, to you, the same thing, right? Then I could understand why you go for the $1 option. But at the end of the day, it's up to you. It's still not something that I think I'm going to do personally with my collection, but I could see why you'd want to. I could see why you'd want to. Gabrielle wants to know what the most disliked Lego Star Wars set ever, and this is a hard one to get an exact answer on, but I have 3 different answers depending on which way you want to look at it. So the first answer is just like the eye test basically of the internet, like which one gets the most buzz as a hated set, and I think that is unequivocally the First Order ATST. I honestly, at this point, don't think it's deserved. I don't think it's that bad of a set, and I don't think that it's inaccurate. Like, it does stuff better than a lot of the modern Clone Wars sets, right? But I understand it. It's a stupid scene in The Last Jedi, and that set is absolutely the set that has gotten the most crap on the internet in the past 20 years, bar none. The second way we can look into what is most disliked is by looking at the ratings on Lego.com. But the set with the lowest rating of all, out of what's available now on Lego.com, is the Juniors ATST with a mere 1.5 stars out of 5. That is absurdly low. I think it's the lowest I've ever seen on Lego.com. I think General Grievous Starfighter might have been like a 2.5, 3-star set. This has 1.5 stars, and I think this set is way worse than the First Order ATST. The final way I think we can get a good gauge on this is by looking at user ratings on Brickset. And the 2 lowest user rated sets that I could find are the Resistance X-Wing with 3 stars even, and then we have the First Order ATST again with 2.9 stars being the worst rated. So ultimately, I think the First Order ATST is the best answer, but there's some other contenders out there. Dishwasher says, what has been the hardest video for you to make, and did your hard work pay off? I think, I don't know, it's hard to quantify what is hard work because in the world of YouTube, it's more of like a time thing. Like most of the things that I do is like, a review or a comparison, where most of the time is like, building the Lego set and then filming. It's just relatively easy stuff. I think from the perspective of having to use my mind to do something unique, some of the more recent videos that I've done where I've turned sets like the Dark Trooper set into a larger set, that one was easier than the other one that I did with Jabba's Palace, or Boba's Palace into Jabba's Palace, have been more difficult and more intensive for me to go and try to figure something out on the fly and how to build something and make it look like something else. I worst to first on Clone Wars Lego Star Wars sets. That one has just shy right now 999,000 views. That is a 52-minute video. I spent so long doing pictures on white background, and it's relatively easy work. It's just a picture on white background. I would not trade that for plumbing with my grandpa like I used to do in the summer, of course. But it took a long time, and so like I was very happy with the performance of that video. Another good example of videos that take me forever to make are my collection and army videos, and it's the reason I haven't made one in about 2 years now, and I won't be making another one until I move out, hopefully by the end of this year. Again, big announcement coming soon, but I can't spill the beans yet. Kevin. Anyway, the reason the collection army videos take so long is setting them up. I don't just set them up to just throw everything down and be like, this is all of it. Like, I set it up and make it look nice. Like, you see the clone army video, all the clones are lined up. It takes me a while to put all those clones in order and figure out how many are going to go in each row, and there's tons of different variables there. Another reason I won't do it now is that it would take me forever to find stuff. It took me forever to find stuff to begin with, but I have so much more stuff in boxes now. Like, finding all of the different sets to drag out, because I don't want to just do my clone army but not have all of my clone army. Like, I want to have everything I could possibly find. And so getting all of that stuff out from the garage or the storage unit, you know, dragging it here, setting it up in the dining room out there, like, that is a task as well. And so the way I used to do it is when my parents would go on a vacation for like a week to Georgia, or maybe on a cruise for a week, like, I knew basically I had a week where I can use this giant open room in the house. That's when I would do my collection and army videos. And so basically, you know, on the Monday, I would just start dragging stuff out fast as I can, and then Tuesday, set it all up, continue. Wednesday, try to film the video, and then Thursday, Friday, we're like tear down. I mean, it was a process, and it will continue to be a process even when I move, because I will still have to find a bunch of stuff, drag it all out, set it up nicely, but I at least won't feel as constrained as I did here, where, like, you know, I need to clean it up before my parents get home type of thing. So those are the best answers I have, and honestly, I wish I had a better answer. Like, I feel like I should be doing some more cool videos that take more effort. So we'll see. Maybe next year I'll have some more videos that I can really pinpoint as like, oh, this one took 3 weeks of filming and editing and planning, but I don't think I have that quite yet. Stonks wants to know if I'm married. I'm not, and I honestly don't know if I'll ever get married. I have no idea. I haven't, you know, it's not in the immediate plan. It's not in the 5-year plan. TB Brick says, do you think that the Phase 2 Captain Rex from the new character packs for LEGO Star Wars Skywalker Saga is the one we'll see in a LEGO set in 2023? Much like the Commander Cody figure that we saw in the game, it will probably look similar. It's a Captain Rex. It's not like it can look that much different, right? Will it look pixel for pixel the same? Probably not. The game is designed separately from the figures, so I wouldn't expect it to be the exact same. Although, I do expect a Captain Rex in 2023 at some point, and unfortunately, this does give us a good idea that the helmet will look terrible with the 4 holes again. On Captain Rex, I hate the 4 holes so much. It has ruined my love for the newer style of clone troopers that they had been doing, and yeah, it's just really unfortunate that it's what it looks like. But on a more positive note, yes, it does seem to be pointing towards a Captain Rex minifigure coming soon. You know, it's never a guarantee, and these things aren't necessarily hints towards actual physical LEGO products, so you really shouldn't look at them like that. But I know it's exciting to see a more modern, official LEGO Captain Rex looking minifigure. I think another downside of this, though, is that they're not gonna be using a physical Kama piece or whatever for the waist cape. Like, it looks kind of rough with just that small bit of printing on the front. I know that's what they've kind of been doing for the last year now, but I still really prefer the physical piece, because when you put those on right, they look so nice. I might be looking at it too negatively. I know it's exciting to get a Captain Rex, or that there might be a Captain Rex coming, right? But like, I hate the helmet so much. It's just where I'm at on it, you know? So anyway, questions below, sponsor whatnot below, $10 off your first purchase, like buttons below. I think the subscribe button's down there, and now I'm down there.